Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Wa radiyallahu an as-sahabat al-muqarrabin. So last time we talked about not being a zombie in Ramadan. And one way to avoid being a zombie, we said, is to make sure that after emptying yourself of food during the day, you do not completely fill yourself again with food at iftar, but you leave some space for the words of Allah. So we want to pick up from where we left off, essentially, and let us look at a verse of the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Muzammil, وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ وَتَبَتَّلْ إِلَيْهِ تَبْتِيلًا. Remember the name of your Lord and devote yourself to Him with complete devotion. وَتَبَتَّلْ. Tabattal is the word used here for cut yourself off, right? Devote yourself. Remember the name of your Lord, وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ وَتَبَتَّلْ, and cut yourself off. That's literally what it means. It's actually, the Arabic word used here is from the same root as batul, which is a word you might have heard. It's sometimes used as a girl's name, and it was a title for among other people, Maryam alayhi salam, the Virgin Mary. Why was she called al-Batul? Because she had cut herself off from men, right? She did not marry, and to some extent she had cut herself off from the dunya. So this verse in Surah Al-Muzammil is general. It's not restricting this command to Ramadan, but in Ramadan I think we especially have to cut ourselves off from some things in our daily lives, in our worldly lives. وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ وَتَبَتَّلْ إِلَيْهِ تَبْتِيلًا. So this Ramadan, we should be thinking about how much we are cutting ourselves off from Allah, from the distractions from Allah, which are in the world around us, and devoting ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Devoting ourselves to Allah, how? By worshipping Him by ibadah, by trying to get in more ibadah. So a couple of days of Ramadan have already passed, which we can kind of self-evaluate ourselves on. How many prayers have you got in on time? And hopefully that shouldn't be the question. We should be beyond that stage by now. The question should be, what is the quality of the prayers I've been doing in Ramadan? How much sunnah have I been doing? How much tarawih have I been doing at night? And again, we need to cut ourselves off a little bit from TV, from Facebook, from the other distractions in our lives, and at least minimize the time we spend on these things, if not cut them out completely, and use that extra time to put in more ibadah, more worship, more salah, more reading Quran, more dhikr, more dua, and even just more reflection. Because remember, the ibadah itself, praying sunnah, praying nawafil, praying tarawih, this is not an end in itself. It is essentially a stepping stone to something deeper. It's supposed to lead us to something deeper. So again, the question I brought up a moment ago, what is the quality of our prayers? How much are we reflecting on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Reflect on the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ. Remember the name of your Lord, your sustainer. That is what Rabb means, the one who takes care of you, who created you, who took care of you even before you came out of your mother's womb, the one who has been taking care of you throughout your life, taken you from one stage to the next. Think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you are standing before Allah in your 5 daily prayers, and especially you have more time to do it in the longer tarawih prayers at night, whether you're doing it on your own, whether you're doing it in the masjid. But try to reflect, think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and where you stand with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah, the more we do this, the more conscious we will be of what we should be doing in this life, and the less likely it is. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago we talked about the spring effect, that's less likely it will be that we simply spring back to where we were at the end of Ramadan, that we simply spring back to where we were before Ramadan. So we don't want to be a spring, we don't want to be a zombie. What we do want to be is a butterfly. If you think about the butterfly, the caterpillar eats and eats and eats. There's this kid's book about the hungry caterpillar. Some of you may have seen it. But then suddenly it stops eating and it cuts itself off. وَتَبَتَّلْ إِلَيْهِ تَبْتِيلًا. It cuts itself off from the world and spins a cocoon around itself. Of course, for us, we cannot necessarily, all of us at least, go into a cocoon. We still have lives, we still have jobs, we still have families. We can't cut ourselves off completely. We can't bury our heads in the sand like an ostrich. But we can make a spiritual cocoon for ourselves, especially during the nights of Ramadan. And what is happening to the caterpillar once it spins this cocoon around itself? Changes are happening within, and eventually it comes out. And it's struggling to get out, but the struggle is worth it because it is strengthening its wings. We need to be thinking about developing our spiritual wings during this month of Ramadan and starting to struggle so that we can come out at the end as a changed person, as changed people, as a butterfly, a beautiful, amazing butterfly that can fly to amazing heights, not just a spring, not just a zombie that now goes back to his daily life. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.